Hi, I'm Nick Barber with IDG News Service in Boston. Over the next couple of modules, we're going to show you how to build your own desktop PC. There's some advantages to building your own PC, like picking out the exact parts you want and building it to your own specifications. It's also going to cost less than if you, say, buy a computer off a shelf or from a big box store. There are some drawbacks, though. Like you're not going to have a warranty. You're going to have to go to each individual part maker if something goes wrong. So let's go ahead and take a look at the components that we chose. We're going to build a system with video editing in mind, so our components are going to be a little bit higher than, say, a normal PC, but there are still going to be certain parts that you definitely need inside of your computer. So let's take a look. First up is our motherboard, basically the control center of the PC and where most of your components and chips will plug into. When you buy a motherboard, there are a few things you want to keep in mind. Make sure it has the right number and right sizes of sockets for your CPU, memory, and other cards. In our case, we chose the EVGA E760 Intel X58 motherboard for about $420. You'll notice that most of your components will come in anti-static bags when you first unwrap them. It's important to keep them in these bags until you're ready to assemble. Static shocks can ruin PC components, so be sure to ground yourself by touching metal before touching a component, or by wearing an anti-static wrist strap like this one. Next up is our processor, which is the brains of the PC. When we assembled our PC, one of the best processors we could buy was the Intel Core i7-980X. It's a 3.3 GHz 6-core desktop processor. It also has hyperthreading, which means we'll effectively have 12 processing cores for our PC. This would be overkill on a traditional desktop, but since we'll be editing video with it, the 12 cores will come in handy. For this particular CPU, Intel included a fan and a heatsink. You can use that, but for our PC, we bought our own fan. Intel also gave us thermal paste, which goes between the processor and the heatsink, but again, we opted to buy our own. In that large package is one of the smallest and most expensive parts of the PC, the CPU. It cost us about $1,000. After the CPU, RAM is one of the most important components of a PC. If you're installing a 32-bit operating system, it'll only be able to use about 3 gigabytes of memory. But if you're installing a 64-bit OS like us, then it's limited only by your budget. Memory is important, especially if you plan to run multiple high-powered applications. We chose to go with 16 gigabytes of DDR3 SD RAM from G.Skill. It cost us about $730. Next, we move on to our cards. Our graphic processor is designed to take advantage of the Mercury Playback Engine in Adobe Premiere CS5. That means that some of the rendering will be offloaded from the CPU and onto the GPU, resulting in faster export times and real-time effects processing. Our graphics card is an NVIDIA Quadro FX 3800. It has its own built-in fan, as well as one DVI and 2 HDMI outputs. It cost us about $800. For optical drives, we decided to buy both an internal Blu-ray player and burner as well as a traditional CD-ROM drive. The benefits to having two optical drives is that it makes it easier to copy discs. With a Blu-ray burner, you'll be able to burn 1080p video and play it back on a Blu-ray disc player. Our Pioneer Blu-ray disc DVD CD writer cost about $200, and our Lighton 24x DVD writer with LightScribe support cost about $32. Many PCs have a single hard disk drive, but for our purposes, we decided to go with 3. The first one is a Western Digital Velociraptor 150GB, 10,000 RPM SATA 3 gigabit per second drive. Let's break that down. The storage capacity is 150 gigabytes. It spins at 10,000 revolutions per minute, which is pretty fast for a drive, and its data transfer speed is 3 gigabits per second. We're going to install our operating system and only our operating system on this drive. The other two drives are Western Digital Caviar Black 1TB 7200 RPM 6 gigabit per second drives. That will give us 2 terabytes of storage and very fast data transfer speeds. The first drive cost us about $150 and the last two cost us $100 each. Next up, we'll take a look at our input ports. Since many of our devices connect via USB, we decided to add on a bunch of extra ports. This Rosewheel USB 2.0 adapter has 5 USB ports. It will plug into our motherboard and add 4 ports on the back of the case and 1 port on the inside. It cost us $12. On the front of our case, we'll add a card reader with 5 slots that can handle more than 30 types of media cards like SD, compact flash, micro SD, and others. It also includes one extra USB port. The Kotek all-in-one card reader cost us about $20. As we mentioned before, we've decided to go with an aftermarket fan and heatsink to cool our CPU. It's important to buy a fan powerful enough so that your CPU doesn't overheat. For our system, we chose the Arctic Cooling Freezer 7 Fluid Dynamic CPU cooler for about $40. The last piece of internal components for our system is the power supply. Power supplies are measured in watts, and for our high-end system, we went with a 1,000 watt power supply. We chose a Silverstone ST1000P modular active PFC power supply. The nice feature about this unit is that you only need to attach the plugs that you need. In some power supplies, all of the wires are permanently affixed to the unit, so the leftover ones that you don't use end up sitting bundled at the bottom of your case. It cost us about $190. Some other things you might want to consider for a PC are some peripherals. For ours, we already had a few monitors and a keyboard, so we didn't need to buy those. We instead bought a Logitech S220 17-watt 2.1 speaker system for about $30, an 8-button Logitech MX518 wired optical mouse for $43, a Logitech C600 2-megapixel USB webcam for $70, a Serago BTA 6210 USB Bluetooth dongle for $25, a 20 count of blank Blu-ray discs for $30, and a Hauppauge Dual TV tuner card for $115. Last but not least, we bought a full-size tower to house all of our components. We decided to buy the Cooler Master Cosmos 1000 for about $170 because it had a number of different features we liked. It had 4 built-in cooling fans, enough bays for us to install up to 6 hard drives internally, and 5 bays on the front panel. On the top of the case are 4 USB ports, a FireWire and eSATA port, and mic and headphone jacks. The case also has sound deadening. The 2 main pieces of software we'll be installing on our PC are Windows 7 Ultimate Full, the top tier of Microsoft's newest OS, as well as Adobe Production Premium CS5. Windows 7 cost us $285, and the CS5 upgrade cost us $570. So those are all of our components we'll be installing on our PC. In total, it cost us about $5,225, plus shipping and applicable taxes. Thanks for joining us here on part 1 of how to build a PC. Check out our next module to learn how to install your motherboard. For the IDG News Service, I'm Nick Barber.